Basketball is my life. I have nothing else.
This is incredible. This is the best people I've ever heard.
Shooters. That's what we do.
Shooters, a basketball podcast. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, season 2, episode 8. Here we are. Hopefully I've fixed my mic because we had some problems and now I'm sounding more masculine and deep. Darren, how are you doing, mate?
That was a great introduction. It was like a musical introduction or something like that. I loved it. But I'm doing great. In the new house, a slightly changed background, but nothing too extravagant. But who knows? The world's my oyster and I can do whatever I want behind me. How are you going?
Wow, well I want to hear a bit more. How did the move end up going? Was it smooth? Was it pretty efficient? How are you enjoying the new house? Give us some more details.
It's true. I was pretty light on them, but no, it's going well. Most things are set up. There's only one junk room, so we pretty much, you know how it is. You kind of set up room by room, and now we've got one spare room where it doesn't look the prettiest, but a few guests have come over, a few family members, and we just shut that door, and the rest looks pretty good. But no, it was smooth sailing, besides from one speed bump, but that's okay. These things happen. No, it's nothing too crazy, but I'll quickly dive into it. Did you know that there's a clause in some removalists' T's and C's that makes you pay for their parking fine if they get fined for parking in the wrong spot? It sounds stupid.
I did not know that. And is that what happened to you?
Yes. So that was the speed bump. It was really annoying. Like these people that came, they did an alright job, whatever, but they were just like, oh, where should we park this big truck? And I'm just like, look, we live in an apartment in Paran. There's not many spaces. There's literally no real spots that suits you. And then, so I was like, if anything, the spot over there, but it is illegal. Like, it's up to you if you park there kind of thing. And they looked at the sign and whatever. So they just parked there. And then halfway through the thing, they're just like, oh, hey, we got a parking fine and it's on you to pay for it. And I was just like, huh? And then, sure enough, I did the right thing and kind of, backed myself and whatever. And I ended up talking to their manager. And on the T's and C's, they sent a screenshot of the actual fine print that says you have to pay for it. So it wasn't great.
Wow, there you go. Welcome to this episode. You're learning some valuable news when you're making a move that if you hire someone and they park in the wrong spot, you might have to pay for it.
Yeah, we weren't happy, let's put it that way. But besides from that, not bad.
Well, to be fair, that is something fair enough not to be happy about. I mean, that parking fines are expensive, and who needs some extra expenses when you're moving into a new house you just bought?
Exactly. I've got a house-related question for you, actually. Have you become... So, whenever people buy a house, they always turn into those people that are just like, I don't know, I can't come out, I've got a mortgage. I can't pay for that, I've got a mortgage. Have you been tighter with money? Have you just been like, I've got a mortgage now, I can't do anything? Or has it not affected you?
My money, the way I view money is different to most. I've read all those books and I'm really big on if I put in the intention and wanted to learn the skill set of making money, I could make money very easily. So I don't look at the best way of making money to save money. I look at it as acquiring skill, education, knowledge, and making more money. So I would say for me, no, I haven't backed off. My missus talks about it a little bit. We're saving here, saving there. But my kind of way is, if I want to make more money, I could learn how to pretty quickly.
I mean, that's fair enough. Good answer.
Yeah, but have you, so you've been in the save, the no-go to dinners, the little bit of less eating out?
I feel like I'll be able to answer that question in a week or so because I haven't really, haven't really experienced it yet. But maybe I will become a tight ass and just be like, nope, can't do it, which might be pretty smart. But anyway, into some basketball, hey?
I like it. Well, I was going to talk about my week because I want to go on a little bit of a rant.
How rude of me. Go ahead.
So I'm going to start this episode off with a little bit of a rant. So as you guys have probably known, that if you listen to this, you follow me on the socials, player development, basketball development, self-development is my passion. It's what I love studying. It's what I love doing in the spare time. And I saw this great clip by Gilbert Arenas, who has his own podcast. He's an ex-NBA player, was really, really good, small, not very athletic. So had kind of all the traits of where he has to develop skill to make it. And he talks about the certain hours acquired to become a pro. And over the last couple of days, we're deep into the season. We had a double header. And I'm starting to find some personal success in the game of basketball. I kind of started slow in my NBL career, and people are starting to notice this guy's developing at a decent rate. He's actually consistently improving. He might kind of know what he's talking about. And I think the key takeaway when I talk to these kids and people that are like, hey, I want to be a pro, I want to be an NBL player, is everyone vastly, vastly, vastly underestimates the amount of hours you have to put in. And I always say anyone has a chance. Anyone can become a professional basketball player. But I just want to tell a quick story, and this isn't to like hype myself up, but this is to kind of say what's necessary to become the top 80 in the country at what you do if you want to be a basketball player. And so we played a double header, Friday, Sunday, Thursday, Saturday. Sorry about that. Thursday, Saturday. We fly back Sunday. We get home. I put in 2 hours recovery on a flight day. Then we have Monday, Tuesday off, where it's like, hey, we've played 4 games in 9 days. Take these off. Get your body right. Well, on the Monday, I go to the gym. I lift with my own trainer, my own strength coach for 2 hours. I shoot with Fab for an hour, and then I get another workout with a new friend I've made named Nick. I come home. I put some recovery legs on. I ice tub. I do my breathing. I roll out. I spend 6.5 hours on a mandatory off day getting better at basketball. And so when people view basketball, it's like if you're not putting 6 hours in on your off day, the days that you take off, then your goals probably aren't going to align with what you want them to be, specifically if you want to become an NBL player. And then today we had another off day. I repeat the same thing. It's 6 hours. I come here. I'm doing podcasts. I'm building towards the future. I've got these goals and I'm trying to make them a reality. And it's not to brag, but it's more to say that, hey, like anyone can become an NBL basketball player. It's not this natural skill. It's not this luck. It's not this by chance if you had good coaches when you're young. It's really like, hey, are you willing to put 6 hours every single day in for 10 to 15 years? And if you are, you're going to be a professional basketball player. And if you're not, you're probably not going to be. And so I keep seeing this stuff about people wanting to be pros. And sometimes I always answer, yes, anyone can be a professional basketball player. But it comes with a lot of work. The solution is simple. It's just not easy to do. So that's my rant to start off this episode is for anyone that listens, their kids say, I want to be a pro, to let them know that they can be. But the amount of work that they put in is vastly, most people don't appreciate how much it is.
No, it's well said. I think that's definitely your thing. That's definitely, you always say that. You're like I don't know, it's not luck. It's just always the work. And I feel like regardless of what industry you're in or regardless of whatever you want to do, like everyone has goals and everyone wants to whatever. But the reality is it just takes a lot of work. Like it's that simple. I was listening to, there was a podcast today, and even that, like podcasting is becoming such a big thing, and it is now. And this person who's relatively successful, he was just like for the first 2-3 years, I just grinded every day, and we didn't make like any money or anything off the industry or the like off their brand or their podcast or anything like that. So it's just about putting the hours in, really.
100%. It really is. Now, thank you for listening to my rant, guys. We're going to get into some basketball news, some round recaps, all the good stuff. You know how the episodes go by now. Now, news to get us started. Would you like to give us a quick update on the NBA stuff that's been occurring? We've got a couple NBL teams over there playing. I haven't been following too closely because I'm locked and loaded on the NBL. Have you seen anything you've enjoyed or liked?
Yeah, I mean, these games, we touched on it a bit last week. These games are always interesting. It's always great for the people to go over there and you guys to get it running with the best athletes in the world and stuff. But I feel for Cairns, like they've just had injuries after injuries after injuries. Like their first game, their opening front court, like Sam Menenga and Sam Wardenberg, they're both sick, so they couldn't even play. They couldn't even start their usual team. Taron Armstrong actually played that game, which was I was very into that. That was cool, but I think yesterday that game comes around and he can't play because he's got that foot issue again. Something's bothering him there. So Alfred Payton, I don't know if you remember him off by his NBA days. He just pops up and he was playing for the Cairns Taipans, funnily enough. So I mean he did well, but they still went down and Jazz and New Zealand Breakers today. But yeah, I mean there are some high points, like the Cairns Taipans. Colga Gak had like 13 I think he had like 17 points in the first game or something. Like I think he actually did quite well. So little stories like that, always cool. But there wasn't to be this year in terms of NBL teams beating the NBA. But hey, it could happen next year or whatever. Adelaide proved it can happen.
Adelaide did prove it can happen. And it is an interesting one with, as we talked about a little bit last week, the timing of these games. You know, someone like myself who's locked in, we got double headers, you're doing scout. I haven't got time to watch, even check the stats, because it doesn't really reflect NBL, I'm not going to be watching those games for scout or ways to get better. So I know those dudes are having lots of fun, and I know it's fun to follow as fans. But from an NBL player's perspective, those games are meaningless, and I'm locked in on what's happening on Australian soil and using that to try and get a little advantage the next time we play anyone.
And it's crazy because it's like Breakers were literally in Utah playing a game, and then they're just like, oh, Sunday we're in Melbourne playing a game as well. It's just like a weird, like it must be so weird for them to just be like, all right, on a plane for however many hours, gear up for Melbourne, back into the regular NBL grind. So anyway, what's the next big news out of NBL world? You can touch on that.
Well, it's a little bit of juice where we've got Sydney Kings just officially released sharpshooter Dejan Vasiljevic. He is, as we know, a premier scorer in this league. Young fella. Went and gave the NBA a crack. Got a little 10-day in the pre-season. Was training with Washington. Got some cool photos of him and Xavier Cooks working out. But he's decided to come back. Didn't want to do the G League route. And he's been training with the Adelaide 36ers. And I don't think it's official yet, but most likely we can expect that DJ's going to sign with the 36ers and try and give them a little bit more punch and firepower. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think it's going to affect them and help them win games, or do you respect the Sydney Kings for letting him, because they had rights on him because he opted out of a contract? Do you respect them letting him go to another team, or what are you feeling about the situation?
I don't know. It's a weird one because it obviously, I can't recall anything like this really happening before, where some guy wants to try his NBA luck and then he's kind of tied to an organization, then that organization is sort of, I don't know, force their hand to effectively release him to another club. But I mean, I like it purely for the sake of, obviously his talent speaks for itself, but it's just very weird when you think of a guy like that it's just like, okay, I only know him as a Sydney King. I think he's going to be a Sydney King for a very long time. I didn't expect him to leave full stop. So, and then, hey, if he pops up in an Adelaide 36ers jersey on, I think they play Thursday. So if he's there for that one, that's going to be a very weird sort of feeling. But I like it from Adelaide's perspective to bring in one of the top Australian talent and to just make a move. Sometimes people just want moves, and sometimes the organisation probably waits too long because, as we know, the NBL season, it's finished pretty quickly. So what do you make of it all?
Well, I think it's an interesting one because I don't know behind the scenes, but it would have been fascinating to see if he could have been back in Sydney. If Sydney tried to get him, if they were willing to drop someone to a training role, if there was enough money or funds or what the go was there. Because as we know, DJ, back-to-back champ, fits their style perfectly. The run and gun, shoot as many 3 balls as possible. He could have taken a big jump in that development and that system this year. So it is an interesting one where he fits this system really well. They probably didn't have enough money because they've used it on their current roster and weren't expecting him to come back. I do respect the Sydney Kings for saying, hey, we'll let you play in the NBL and we'll let you play for another team. And when you come here, we're going to try and give you the business, because they could have said no and could have put DJ in a tough situation, but they let the player play. And I respect the Sydney Kings a lot for making that decision. Yeah,
I mean, from all accounts, I think their press release said that he could have just come on their roster, but they obviously had to drop someone else in order to do that, and the money side of things as well. But I think Chris Pongrass, the CEO, basically just said, we're happy with our roster. But first game, we're starting with you guys. What are you doing to the Hawkies? You just blew them out. I didn't get to watch it, but it was a pretty one-sided box score. Let's put it that way.
100%. I mean, we've been playing defense pretty well for a couple of weeks now, keeping these teams to 72, 73, 80 points. They've been close battles, so it was about time I made some shots. Jordan Crawford's starting to show what he can do. I mean, he's a lights-up scorer. He's been cooking in practices. I've been trying to guard him, having some nightmares before I go to bed. And so it's cool to see him step in, getting a bit more comfortable in the league, doing his thing. We shot well. The whole team had some fun, and by halftime, the game was over.
No, it was. And Dan Greta, welcome to my Supercoach team. He's been playing well. I had to sub him in. I don't know if you've checked the lineup on that, but I think you're sitting middle of the pack, and me and Lloyd are just down the bottom. We're not doing well. So wow. Dan Greta, he's gonna help me, hopefully. I had to make some moves. I'm gonna have to make some more because it's not working so far. But he started the season well.
Well, I'll get to one of my Supercoach favourites a bit later. But we've got the Sydney versus Brisbane, run and gun. Sydney gets the W, 113, Brisbane 102. What's your thoughts on the Sydney Kings? But let's touch on the young fellas doing well. What's your thoughts on them two?
Well, I think the play that stood out to me was that Alex Toohey spin and dunk, and I tweeted out, I don't know what was more impressive, that or Gazy's commentary on the entire thing. Like, Gazy just has these moments where, like, when you're commentating, you probably put a bit of emphasis on some things and maybe not fake it, but you're going to have to put more juice on some things. But you could tell he was genuinely excited by the young fella making this move, and he just does it in a very comical way. So shout out Gazy. We all love him, but he just does, he commentates like no others at times like that.
He does a good job. And I'll tell you what the takeaway from that game was. We've got a little bit of a repeat on our hands here. The Brisbane blackout jerseys. Far out. Brisbane makes back-to-back appearances on the podcast for doing some incredible work on their jerseys. Did you see them? What do you think of them? Our whole team was talking about it. They looked sharp.
I forgot about that actually, because like I was looking through the images and I was like, these are nice. I don't know what the blackout game is for. Do you even know why they do it?
I don't care why they were doing it. I couldn't care less as long as those jerseys are looking fresh.
It's actually true. Whoever their design team or their merchandise team or something, you're doing something right, because I like your white and blue, and then if you randomly, you should make them like your alternative. Whatever the NBA do that with like their city jerseys or alternative, just bring that in as like a third alternative that you can just black out the stadium. So I like that your team was talking about it as well.
100%. And we move on. I think this was probably game of the round in terms of really seeing a test. Like the JackJumpers, we were excited to follow this game, to see the score. Melbourne at Perth. Melbourne got the W, 88-81. What do you think of the game? Did you get to watch it?
I got to watch. Yes, I did. I was just laughing at one of your points that you've jotted down here, but we'll get to that soon. But the way, obviously, the return of Luke Travers to Perth, they probably still half love him. But so the first game back in Perth, and the opening, it wasn't the opening possession. It was pretty much the first time he touched the ball, and he just headed straight to the rack and got a nice little dunk. It wasn't on someone, but we like to say it's on someone just for the sake of content and hyping it up. But I really like that from him, because people always kind of knock, like, if there's one thing with him, it's probably his aggression or like his will to want to take shots and all that stuff. So to start that game off like that, I really enjoyed that. But did you get to watch this one?
I did. Now listen, sometimes these Perth games be keeping you up late though.
Yeah,
like
true.
Especially it was the night before game, so I rewatched it back the next day because I couldn't be staying up too late. But with these young fellas, especially when they come up, I think most people understand at some point they have to leave, spread their wings, develop into a man somewhere else, especially if it's outside of the city in which they grew up. Yeah. But it always hurts a little bit when they come back and throw down a nice dunk. I know he would have been nervous. That would have felt good. But if we're talking super coach, now there's certain players that I love to watch, and they're usually slow, prisoners of gravity, stuck to the ground, but great fundamentals, good hand-eye coordination. And if this man hasn't come to your mind already, audience, then listen. Rob Lowe, I have to have a big man crush on his game. He is fun to watch. I enjoy watching him do his thing, and he's consistently performing this year and helping Melbourne be one of the best teams in the league.
It's actually quite funny, because like I have little notes going on over the weekend once I watch all the games, and just little things I want to talk up or bring up on this podcast. But Rob Lowe was one of them. I said to my dad, he was watching the game with me on Sunday afternoon, so not this one, but he was watching the Brisbane game with me, and I'm like, who's been great this season? Rob Lowe. He does so many nice little things. Whether it's like blocking, he just blocks a few shots, rebounds, scores. He just gets on a roll where he can just do a bit of everything. And let's not forget that he was retired, wasn't he? And then he was retired, and he's like, I'm done. And then Melbourne were like, hey, JLA's gone down. Do you want to come in? So I don't know whether he will actually stay on the roster once JLA is back, but I hope he does, because he's been very good.
I tell you what, I 100% agree. I mean, who knows what they're going to have to do with that roster space, but he's earned a role, and he's out there performing every single night. Now, we head to a must-win game. Adelaide against Illawarra. Adelaide pulled out 89-80. Now, we all know the star of this game. You want to talk to us about it?
Yes, I do, because I think credit to Trenton Flowers for actually delivering in this performance, because I think what the best part about it was that they got the win. Because if a next star or like any young guy has been struggling a bit to start the season, if that happens, then you have like essentially a breakout game, but your team still loses. It's kind of just like are they irrelevant points or are they whatever? But the fact that he scored, I think it was 23 points, 18 in the fourth quarter, got the win, got the team's first win. I think it was great by him, and the man can celebrate. I don't know if you saw those the highlights. We were kind of laughing to ourselves about how many different celebrations he pulled out to himself. But he obviously loves the game, so I'm not going to knock that.
No, for sure. I tell you, I mean, it's been a tough start for him, and not just performance-wise, but being thrown in the deep end in a point guard in an experienced league. The ups and downs, everyone reads the media, but to come out and put on a performance like that, we were talking about it, Milton and me were talking about it today. You've got seven guys on the bench. If one of them, if you can win a game, you've done your job for the season, almost. You know, like obviously you want performances in and out, but if you can come in off the bench and win a game for your team, you've done your job. I mean, that's 7 wins right there if everyone was to do it. And he came in and won a game. Bottom line, they probably wouldn't have won that. He put on a performance, 18 points in the fourth quarter.
It's crazy.
Good on him.
Put your feet up, Trenton, for the rest of the season. Just hang it up, put your name in the NBA draft or whatever, and just
that's what I'm saying. Hang it up. You've done your job on an NBL roster. You single-handedly won a game.
It was actually, it was thoroughly impressive. I was actually on my way to your game, so you obviously wouldn't have seen this as well. But I was on the way to your game, so I only got to watch half of it, and then it was some things you get annoyed that you really can't see live, so I had to go back and watch it. But I also felt for Justin Robinson. I don't want to shout out negative performances, but 1 of 15 from the field is rough, so I have no doubt he'll bounce back. But in saying that, if he didn't keep shooting, people are going to come at him for that as well. So hey. Keep getting them up, I say. Your game. I was there. You didn't get to see me. You were locked in. You were focused, but you're like that. That's what makes you a good player, obviously. I'd be worried if you were too, like, mid-game, just like, where's Darren? Where is he? I'm going to find him. Talk us through it.
Well, it's funny. You're 100% right. I definitely have 2 personas. Like, I like to have a laugh off the court. I don't take really anything seriously, but once I step into that court, it's business for me. I'm putting all my concentration, everything I have into performing to the best of my ability. There was a few takeaways from me. I mean, Cummings and Brown as a guard combo are tough to guard. When they're coming downhill, they're hitting shots, they're ISOing, they have a lot of firepower there. Kenny played really well, and it's always a weird feeling when you verse old teammates, especially guys that you've built like great relationships with, that you care for, that you want to do well. They're not stressed, but there's a certain level of excitement and energy going into versing your old team. There always is. So it sucked he did well, but it was also great he did well. He played a big part in getting the win. Personally, it was a game that I had circled on my calendar for a while because Mitch Creek is someone that I look at as the best 4-man, best Aussie big man in the league. And so he's who I want to test myself against, see what I'm made of, and I felt like I did an all right job. On reflection, there's always things you can do better, always things you want to work on. And we put ourselves in a position on the road to win a game. They hit some shots. We missed a couple shots. Always hurts. Madut Dang missing a free throw, which happens, and that's not what losers do the game, but I know that's a tough situation for him. But overall, it was a fun, competitive, physical game of basketball, and they're the games that I think people love seeing, love supporting, and grows the brand of basketball in Australia. So it's always disappointing to lose, but we got better as a team because of the game.
Nah, I enjoyed it. It was a great game to watch, a great game to actually be there. Like, I say this all the time, but all I want sometimes is a close game, so you guys delivered. But was I right in saying Matt Kenyon looked at your bench a few times after he did some nice things? I don't know. I feel like he did. I don't know if he did, but I'm going to say he did.
He did. He 100% did. So we got this certain little bit of a defense where we leave certain guys open. We put Marcus on them and sit in the paint. And so we tried it on him, and he drilled some threes on us, and then he let us know about it.
I guess rightly so. Good on him. Melbourne-Brisbane. Melbourne got the points, so I think that's a 2-0 weekend for them. They're without Bainesy, of course. Brisbane. I did get to watch this one, but for the majority of it, it was a pretty one-sided affair. Like Brisbane, it just seemed like everything was tough for them. Like I was watching them on offense, and it just seemed like Melbourne came down one end and was just like getting their shots off quite easily, scoring quite easily, then it reminded me of myself when I play 2K sometimes and I just can't score for whatever I do and I'm getting frustrated. But the actual scoreline was only 11 points in the end, which probably doesn't 100% reflect the entire game. But yeah, that's what I made of it.
I agree. Delhi with a little bit of a head injury, concussion. He's had one in the past, a concussion that kept him out of an NBA season for quite a while. So hopefully he's doing all right because, that's one part of sport. Injuries suck, but head concussions as well. You never know how they're going to bounce back. So hopefully he's doing all right. And then the last game of the regular season, Sydney got a big win against Perth, 99-86. Sydney playing well. Perth struggling. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, Perth's an interesting one. I was going to get you to elaborate on one of the points of Sydney's style of play. What do you mean by well, you basically just said their style of play is crazy. What do you mean by that? In a good way? In a bad way?
No, not in a bad way at all. So when I break down kind of coaches and basketball, and I think a big key to a successful team is having an identity and then everyone being bought into that. And it doesn't matter necessarily what that identity is. As long as your head coach has a vision and then gets the players to buy in, the team's going to be in a pretty good spot. Now, is that saying they're going to win a championship every single year? Obviously not. But more likely than not, you're going to be in a pretty good place to be. And Sydney has an identity, and that is switch everything, get up and in, help a lot on defense, and then push that ball as quick as you can, shoot as many threes. And it is crazy to watch. I mean, they're playing old school backyard pickup at times, and they force teams to play in this style of game with them, and no one's as good as Sydney at doing Sydney. And so they've had this same style now for 3 years, and it's crazy. It's fast paced. It's fun to watch. Jalen Adams running the lane, Jordan Hunter dunking the ball, all of them spraying up threes, and they're finding ways to win, and that's their style. If you don't slow them down, you got no chance of winning those games.
I put you on the spot there, so good save there. I was like, what is he going to make of this one? But we actually just recorded a Huddle episode, another podcast with Jordan Hunter. I did not know he was so into I know he's a friend of yours, but I didn't know he was so into like fantasy novels and fantasy sort of thoughts and being all artistic and stuff. And he's actually writing a fantasy novel, I found out. So there's a fun fact.
Yep. So he's off season. We'll wake up. He'll do about 2 hours of basketball and then go by a pool somewhere and write his novel, and that's kind of what he loves to do in his spare time. He had a play that was written by Seth Rogen, I think it was, that said, "This is incredible. We could make this into a TV series, but the only way you're ever going to get the funding is you have to write a successful book." So that's what's happened. Is he's written a screenplay for a TV series. He's gotten the tick saying this is good. You have to turn it into a book first, and so that's what he's currently working on.
Damn, look at that. We didn't set that up. I was just thought I'd throw that out there, and you've got some background knowledge on that. That's cool, because he actually alluded to that. He's just like, he was kind of laughing to himself, saying, I've had some bigger fish run their eyes over like what I'm writing somehow. And there you go. You got the knowledge.
I just want to make sure, like, maybe don't put that in a reel, because I'm not 100% sure it is him, but it's someone along. It could be. I'm most likely is, but I'll have to fact check myself.
No, I could say we might as well cut that out.
No, you don't have to cut it out. Leave it in. But it's just more. If that might be the name, might not be.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Asterisk on that one.
Asterisk on the name.
Hype up. I've got someone, but I'm going to let you go first. Hype someone up. I just want to hype someone up. Go on a bit of a rant. Anyone that's caught our attention, just give him some love.
Wow, hype up. No, I want you to go first, because I've got a couple that I'm choosing between. So can I put you back on the spot and throw this back at you?
That man is stalling before he answers. I enjoyed I really enjoyed something about your game. It had nothing to do with you. But so we alluded to Madut missing that free throw that you guys would have had a chance to tie it. And straight away he was like pretty hard on himself. You could tell he was like, feeling that and head in hand, center court. But there was a few of you that got around him, but there was one person that basically got around him from the get-go, and then even when some players had left the court, even when the handshake lines were done, he was still patting Madut on the back and like, hyping him up basically and telling him it's fine and positive thoughts. And that's Junior Madut. And I just wanted to shout him out because literally the entire time, like I was just sort of waiting around trying to say hello to you, but you walked off or something. I don't know. I didn't time it well. That's fine. But the entire time I kept looking over and I was just like, Junior's still with Majuk. He's still like in his ear saying, yeah, whatever he was saying. But I just found that really cool.
Quality person. I can vouch for that. That is cool that you noticed that too. My shout out this week is shout out to Beth, my partner. She just had paramedic internship completely done, finished. Ooh. So she had her assessment, which was like an interview today, knocked it out of the park. You think, you never know how you really go.
True.
And then looking to move to Tassie kind of whenever that is. We'll start applying for jobs. So that's exciting. And then she actually had a question for you, Darren. So my hype up is turning into a hype up Beth question from Beth. And so when you're creating content, when you're filming, when you're taking photos, she had a laugh about you tagging Matt Kenyon in the photo of Majuk doing the dunk. And her question was, do you ever feel bad about the subject that's kind of getting dunked on or experiencing like a sadder emotion? And have you ever caught some cool stuff that you haven't posted because you're like, ooh, I don't really want to put that person on the spot, or don't want to share that because it hurts a little bit, even though it's a photo you're proud of, or anything along those lines?
Well, that's a great question. And firstly, Beth, congrats on your career progression. That sounds exciting. But no, that's a funny point because normally I would never tag the person who's on the other end of the photo or the video. But it actually reminds me of I'm going to put my brother on the spot here. He was actually doing some NBL 1 coverage on social media like years ago, like when it was, first starting up, and he was helping us out with that. And then I think someone had an ankle breaker and he actually tagged the person who was playing like bad defense or whatever. And we kind of said, yeah, probably shouldn't do that. But I only tagged Matt Kenyon because I kind of know him. Like I've had a few run-ins with him recently and he seemed like he was like you've spoken about, like he just seems like he's a great guy and definitely one with a good sense of humor. So that's why I kind of put it on the story and just said, sorry, Matt Kenyon, I had to do it to you. But he found it funny. He replied a few times. So it was all in good nature. But that's a good point because sometimes, and the second question about whether I've never not posted something, I think I was a bit hesitant to post even the Majuk dang free throw being missed because and I had a few other photos that I was like, it kind of tells a good story, but I don't want to put him on the spot with pretty much what I was saying, like with his head in his hands after the game. So there's a few times where I'm kind of just like, you guys are human as well, even if it's a great photo or even if I think it's a good photo. It's like, would I want you guys to see that photo? I mean, would you guys want to see that photo of yourselves in that position? And yeah, sometimes I don't, but yeah, I try to remain cautious if I can.
One So it is something you think about. I appreciate
sometimes.
that. That's nice.
Yeah, very rare, rarely because most of the photos is just, no one would have a problem with it. But things like that where Majuk literally looked, pretty upset about the chance at, winning or losing situations. So, yes, there are times, but rarely, I'd say.
I like it. My grateful for, do we get into this?
Wow, this is a negative space. I'm just going to start chucking up random things I'm grateful for. This is incredible. This is the best grateful for I've ever heard.
Please do.
I like it. My grateful for this week is something a little different, but it's shooting guns. Okay. Now, I wish this was an advertisement, but it's not because they're really hard to get in Australia and they're really expensive. But jumping on a shooting gun is something that I've refound a passion and a love for. It's a big reason of what helped me develop a jump shot in college. Lloyd challenged me to shoot more shots throughout a week, and my shot is feeling the best it's ever felt. And it's all thanks to the shooting gun. I can jump on there in about 40 minutes, make about 500 threes, and be good for the rest of the day. So there's a couple names, Dr. Dish, some different names and all that for these guns. But they're epic. They're expensive. And one day I would love to have a gym with one that I could help out some young fellas and chuck them in there. But they definitely make developing a jump shot a lot easier.
That was a perfect opportunity to be like, they're expensive and I've got a mortgage now, so I can't afford it. But that's all right. You're not there yet. I can say that. But they play an important part, those shooting guns. So it's a fair enough thing. Mine is, I'm just grateful for organization. Like after moving house and you just basically come in and everything's, there's just shit everywhere. Once you get those individual rooms or whatever organized, you just feel so much better about yourself. So it's a very simple one, but I still have a bit more organizing to do. But yeah, it just makes routines and stuff so much easier. And yeah, I gotta get this.
Well, do you have any organizing tips for the people out there? Do you have any nice calendars, any phone apps, or anything when you're moving that helped organize? Any advice?
You know, I'm actually there used to be apps that I put my to-do list on, but then I keep changing. I want to find the right one. So no, I need to find a better one that suits me perfectly because I don't know, I have features I want in there and they're not listed in there. So maybe we just have to make our own or something like that. I've actually thought about that, but yeah. So any productivity apps you use on a regular? You strike me as the type that would. No.
Nah, I'm recently delving into a little thing called Notion. Which is like an all-in-one app. You can kind of create your own.
I've tried that, I think. But I think you had to pay straight away, didn't you? And I've got a mortgage.
Notion's free.
And I've got a mortgage, so I can't pay. No.
You set that one up, didn't you? You set that one up.
Kinda. No, I did tinker with it, but that's it.
Nice. Well, Darren, what have you got coming up for the week ahead? Anything exciting? Any exciting news? Any jobs you're looking forward to creating or doing?
I thought you were about to say any jobs I'm looking for. I'm like, that's awkward. No, I'm quite satisfied with the job I have now. Thank you very much. But no, just getting the house in order. The spare room over there, as I said, looks messy. So just got to sort that out. A few other things, but it feels good to make the house a home, you could say. What about yourself?
For me, we're in season, so it's basketball. We're enjoying it. I've got a nice tub in the house right now that I've been using every day. I've got a little steam sauna on the way, which is very exciting. Oh. So had to put that on the mortgage. But, return of investment, ROI, hopefully is high and helps me make some more shots. So that's all I got coming up this week. Would you like to take us out on an outro and thank everyone for listening?
Yes, I would. What he said, thanks for tuning in once again. We're going to, like we said, we're going to keep pumping these out every Thursday because we enjoy holding ourselves accountable. So thanks again. Go Jackies. Get that win column back up, which I'm sure you will. I won't see you this week. I saw you twice in a row, so I'm used to you coming to Melbourne. That's fine. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. I got to do the outro like you did the intro.